Hi, it's Dawn. Welcome back. The next spread I'm going to work on the next 2 pages. I'm going to do just how I do some patterns, just a basic layout setup. One of them is going to be, this one over here is going to be with the compass. But I'm going to do triangles, and all I'm doing is just taking a 12-inch ruler that I have, and I'm just being, real scientific with the spacing by just going the width of the ruler. But what I do is I just very lightly excuse me, draw out some pencil lines. Let me move you down a little closer, and I'll paint these in too, of course, but I'm just showing you. Normally I would start the camera after I had done this, but I thought maybe I would just go over this in case there's somebody out there that is, I really would like to know how to do this. And this last piece isn't, oops, didn't go all the way. This last segment isn't the full width. I don't care. I just go with it. And then, just go this way. It's just some plain basic patterns, but if you don't know, you may not know where to start. And it's always good to have I find it's good to have a good grid going on. So sometimes all you need is vertical. You might just need horizontal. You could pull out a yardstick. You can pull out one of your kids' rulers. It really is not, it's not science here. It's just using something over and over. Whatever that shape is, you just use it over and over. And if some of these lines aren't perfect, yeah, we're not going to get worked up over it. We're just playing around with paint. We're just making patterns. We're just meditating and using art to practice a daily art, or using watercolor rather, to practice a daily art, have a daily art practice. You know what? I'm not going to draw a line on the last one because it just doesn't lend itself. So then now I'm just going to connect these corners. So I just start wherever I can see a pattern and connect them. And what this does is that it lets me then subdivide. If I want to do, I'm going to probably do triangles again. I like triangles. Whoops, and I was off here. You know what? I can erase and fix it because I didn't line it up quite right. So I just want to put it on those corners, and then there we go. That's better. If you're talking sometimes instead of looking, you will miss it. Like there. I lined it up down here, but I didn't line it up here. And yeah, this is wider than my my ruler. It's just a guideline. It's just helped me get an idea. And I'm going to knock some of these lines back anyway. And my goal is to not watercolor over the pencil lines, but to leave those exposed, get my watercolor just inside, and then I can erase them at the end. Now I will tell you that goal is not always met because I don't always stay as neat as I would like, but the idea is there. All right. And I could choose to go the other way and make it into quad. Oh, that was off. And I don't care. I'm not going to go back and redo it. I'm just not. I could go back and make these into quarters, because right now these are in halves, as you can see. And I may make these into quarters. I don't know. I haven't decided. And that's the thing, is I oftentimes start things, kind of on the fly, shoot from the hip. Yep. Ooh, I went wonky on that. You know what? I am going to draw that top one. And I'm just not going to fill it in from there up. That'll be better. See how I changed what my plan was? And that's okay. try to keep it the same angle, because when you get these last ones, sometimes they're a little weird. Okay, so now we've got them all going that way. Now, do I want to do quarters and go this way? Or do I want to just keep them halves? I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe I want quarters. Don't think I've done quarters before. Or have I? I don't remember. Yeah, so I'm going to do quarters. So I'm just going to go about this much, the same way I did a moment ago. Hopefully this time being a little more conscious of where my... Oh, that was bad. Oh, okay. Didn't get that right at all. It's alright. That's why we use pencil, right? I was way off on that. Here it's supposed to go. Oh, man. Oh, I think I was in my head thinking about some other things. That wasn't even close. Gotta stay present. That is my struggle. Alright, let's start smaller. Let's start smaller. Okay. There we go. The hard part sometimes is seeing the pattern within the pattern. You start seeing other shapes and it gets a little discombobulating. Then once you find it, you're good. And don't be afraid to erase and start over if you're trying to get a very precise pattern and you discovered you went sideways on something, just erase and start over. And I will tell you, when I did my first pattern with this, there was several iterations before I got it right. I have one of those big polymer erasers, this guy, that is has to be employed now and again. And on that particular project with the compass, I must have started over 6 times. No exaggeration. And I'm just going back and fixing where the ruler wasn't long enough. Okay. Algebra was a better subject for me than geometry. Geometry was not my strong suit in high school. I did okay with it, but it wasn't my strong suit. Once you get a few lines going, then you start to see it better. And you're okay, now I get it. And this book is 9 by 12, so of course I'm biting off a whole big old pattern here. You can start with a much smaller scale and probably be happy. But that'll about do it. And then next is time to pick my color palette. And I'll probably go ROYGBV again because I just love that. But yeah, there's the beginnings of a pattern. No stencil required. Just a ruler, pencil, and a little bit of an eraser. All right, let's go get our paints. Okay, so I'm going to use 2 palettes to do my triangles today. But I'm going to use this palette that I've been trying to use up, which is a nice rainbow palette. But some of my colors I've used up, like the yellow's almost gone, my turquoise is nearly gone. So I've got this other guy here, which I'm going to use a little bit off of this. And we're just going to do a ROYGBV because ROYGBV is good all the time. It always works. And there's a lot of red left on this palette I'm trying to use up. So I'm just going to get started with a little bit of this and that. And I think I'll do ROYGBV this way. And I'm a little zoomed out, so I'm going to pull this up a little bit just because I don't want to have to hope that I remember to move the book when the time comes. But we're going to start, and we're going to do some mixtures too. This is a number 10 Escoda, and I'm not sure if I'm going to keep, it's a synthetic squirrel. I'm not sure if this is the right size brush that I want to use, or if I want to pick up a smaller brush at some point. We're going to start here and see where we end up. I'm wondering if I want to cut back some of these lines or not. Some of these lines are pretty dark. This is just a little polymer eraser. And just kind of lightly skipping over the lines just to give it a less of a pencil line. And I'll take a paper towel. And the thing about polymer erasers that a lot of artists don't like is that they leave schmutz behind. And the gray kneaded erasers, they don't. But I've yet to find my happy place with the gray kneaded erasers. So here I am still using the polymer, but then you got to deal with the schmutz. But anyway, you can still see a little bit of that. All right. So this feels like an alizarin crimson. I don't know if it is or not. But I think I'm going to, instead of, and why I erase the lines is sometimes I like leave the gap. I think this one I'm going to like let it bleed into its neighbor. So I'm going to let them touch, let them kiss, as I like to say. And then, you know, as they go from yellow to, or red to yellow to orange, or red to orange to yellow, I should say, makes for some interesting colors. I really like them. So the thing is, you got to, with this, you got to do a little mixy, and you can't just, I don't know. You get boring because you end up with the same pigments all over and over again if you don't do a little mixing off to the sides. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. See what we come up with. Maybe these all look the same. Maybe I just need to I don't know. Maybe I should leave a space, but here we are. Here we are, doing it anyway. I'm going to add a little orange into this one and see what we get. I'm mixing it on the paper, which is probably not cool, but here I am doing it anyway. But I just don't want it to be red, you know? I want it to be a little bit of a dance, a little bit of a cha-cha. Oh, not dark enough there. I really don't have a true orange on this page. I have Quinn Gold and some other colors, and obviously I'm not sure if I'm happy with this or not. I may go back to the idea of leaving a space, okay. Well, let's do this. Let's just change it going from here on out. Let's leave a space and see how we like it. Yeah, I think I like the space now that I didn't do it but it's okay. The rest of it will have a space. Yep. Otherwise, why have the lines? Right? That's what you call thinking on the fly. Or something. Or changing your mind as you go. Just a practice book anyway. Most of my watercolors are Daniel Smith. I know you didn't ask, but we're sitting here painting slowly. I'm not going to time lapse it, so there's that. Yeah, see how I like that white line? I like that a lot. Okay. And I could blot that other up, but most of these colors are highly staining, so it's just not going to matter. Maybe I'll make this corner match that corner, and maybe I'll repeat it in another spot so it looks intentional. But most of my colors are Daniel Smith, and most of my colors are going to be in the Professional Watercolor series. I have some that are core. I also have some that are Magello, the Mission Gold, and then I've got a few Winsor Newtons, like I've got a Winsor Blue, but most of my palette, probably 90% of my palettes, are going to be Daniel Smith. I got started with them when I started watercoloring, and I think, you know, as you begin, so you go, is kind of the expression, right? Yeah, I'm gonna like the spacing. Except when I boo-boo like that. But that's okay. And I like grabbing like a little bit of red and then a little bit of orange and mixing the two together to get a fun color. Even when it's like a pinky red like this magenta over here. I think this is Quin Magenta, but I'm not sure. Oh wow, look at that. That's a vibrant color, isn't it? So, ROYGBV. So when you do red, red, orange, orange, yellow. Yellow is tough to do much more than, so red, red, orange. Okay, hold on. I'm thinking about this in real time. Can you tell? So if I do red, then do red, orange, and then do orange, yellow, and then do yellow, green, and then just do green, have a lot of green, and then do green, blue. That's not enough. Okay, so we'll do red. Okay, plan B. Just kind of, this is just to help me. All right, so we'll do red, red, and we'll do orange. I don't have a lot of orange, but I could pull out some orange. I've got this guy over here I could pull out. And then do orange, yellow, and do green, and then do green, blue, and then do blue, I actually do green blue there, which is like a turquoise. So we'll do T there. Green turquoise. And then do turquoise blue. And then do blue. And then do blue violet. Meh. Or do violet magenta. Okay, we'll wait and see. All right, back to where we were doing. What were we doing? Oh, right. Making a mess on our table. Okay, so let's grab. So we got 2 rows of red going on here, which I don't usually do. I should do a lot of green and a lot of blue in mine, but I'm going to try to do a bit more red and orange in these. Let's see if I can't get a little more balance in my ROYGBVs. It's fun to do and fun to say. And then I'm just adding a little yellow to my red just to... Wow, that didn't add squat, did it? Nope. Didn't want it quite that, but it's okay. Make sure I travel around when you do that. Oof. It feels like a pyro orange, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm really getting really uptight. I'm really holding this really tight on my, up on the ferrule, but I feel like when you're getting into these really tight lines, I really do, it's not, these aren't perfect crisp lines here. They're just, but I really want a little bit more of a tight grip on it, or a closer grip on it, because I do want the pattern to be obvious when I'm done. Yep. By the way, this plate is from the dollar store, and I much prefer it to the plastic. Don't like the plastic at all. This one, which I haven't dug into yet, is from Walmart, and I think it was $1.99. I bought it maybe 6 months ago. And I kind of like this one because of the rim that's on it. I don't know if you can see that. It's got a bit of a well to it. Where this one does not. This one, you can, you know, run the pigment off your plate if you're not off your palette. Your palette, that's a plate. If you're not careful, but I don't like the blue rim on it. So, yeah, pick your poison. And these are really dark reds up here. What I might do on the second row of reds is get a little paler with them as we segue into orange. And these are just a guideline. They're not a rule. It's just help me to think about spacing. Because I don't want this to all be samey. There'll be some variegation and some mixing and... Grab a little Quinn Gold in here to warm it up a little bit. I do like how that's looking though. That was kind of fun. Wonder if I should do that in the 4 corners or something. Nah, I'll probably do it down here. just as a conclusion to what we're already doing. And if it helps you to turn your page when you're doing this to get feel like you get a crisper edge, go right ahead, feel free. As Tim Holtz would say, do you. I don't think I have much in the way of turquoise available. I may have to pull out another palette. Oh Lord, me pulling out another palette. What do you know? What a shock, right? I'm not sure what that is. That might be yellow ochre, but it is really turning things yellow over here. I'm going to nudge it a little bit this way. Let's see, where's my blue, my turquoises? I don't know. What did I do with, oh, right here in front of me. Hello. I got some turquoises here we'll have off to the side for when we get to that part, because this guy's empty and not much on that other plate, so we'll have them handy at the ready. Okay, I don't need you right now. I'm going to put you up there, Mr. Orange. Actually, you know what? I'm going to grab a little of one of your reds up here. I see that red and I'm going, ooh, it's an interesting red. Oh yeah, we like that. Should wet this palette. I just use a little spray bottle. I missed it slightly and it works out pretty nice. Okay. Destroy the evidence. Now on this row, because orange is going to be next, I am going to start feathering in orange here and there to just kind of demonstrate the, there's a nice orange. I don't make a hard line or whatever with the colors. I like to have them kind of gradually blend into the next color, the next hue. And then the same will hold true within the oranges. I'll pop a red in there, a random red out of nowhere, just so that it just feels right. Follow your gut, trust your gut. That's what I try to do, because that gut was telling me that wasn't it, you know. Trusting your gut's usually good, especially when you're just making art for you. It's supposed to be fun, remember? Right. And to me, it is fun. When I turn off the internal critic and I just go, do I like that? Nope. All right. How can I fix it? How can I shift it? Ooh, grabbed too much pigment there, but we're just going to go with it. So that's what we have the pigments for, to play with. And when you double load your brush too, like I just grabbed a bunch of red and now I'll go grab a little bit of orange, or queen gold actually, and you put them, you get the nicest little unexpected moments, I find, even when you're just doing a silly little pattern like this, which is super easy. Now I'm going to keep that same pigment in my brush and just add a little water to it. I didn't add any more pigment, I just added some water. And you get it, that color is now this color. Okay, that's not making you happy? Grab some other pigment. Not sure what I grabbed there, but doesn't feel very red, but who cares? We'll move on. Maybe we'll get a nice little surprise in there somewhere. When it dries down, sometimes you find the loveliest surprises. Yeah. We like lovely surprises in this way. dark. I think I need to lighten some of this up, or just maybe start transitioning to orange now. Maybe this is why I've never had a very balanced ROYGBV, because I just feel like, oh, too much red. I mean, I like a little bit of red, but gee whiz. As this is drying, it is really drying way darker than I would have liked. But it's okay, we'll fix it. We'll lighten some stuff up. I'm going to stick a red right here in the middle. The oranges, so I don't forget to feather in the red. I feel like I'm getting the same orange over and over again here. wanted to get a different. Here's a lemon yellow over here. Let me see if I can pull some lemon yellow into this. And yeah, that's better. Okay, I'm telling myself to trust the process. It's feel awfully dark. Oof. think we finally got to some lemon yellow here, almost. It's still got a lot of orange in it, but feels like it's getting a little better. I'm going to start transitioning into some greens though. Well, that's one way of transitioning. When you make them run together, right? Whether you meant to or not. Let's grab a big fat yellow and put it over here though. And then maybe a little bit of yellow over here. Maybe one more like down here. Oof. It's darker than I thought it'd be. Oh well. Alright, this is looking good. Let's grab some of this green over here, a little off camera, but I've just got some like hodgepodge palettes sitting around and trying to grab some other greens to, oh, I don't want that dark. Don't go too crazy here. Trying to throw some variety in the mix. Yeah, looks nice. I like green. I'm a big fan of green. Green and blue are my favorites, perhaps. So I tend to put more of those in my ROYGBVs than the reds and the oranges and yellows, which, you know, I tried to then force myself on this one to do a bit more of those. Which is fine, but it's just outside my comfort zone, and that's what I'm trying to do, is push myself a little bit more. To try other colors, to try to use other colors is what I mean by that. Ooh, that's very pretty, but highly pigmented. Okay, we are making some progress. Maybe. Feels like the same green. Let's add some yellow into it and see what we get. Let's add a little orange into it and see if we can dull it down a bit. Kind of get more of an olivey color, I think, there. You'll notice that the this is dry now. Sometimes I get a little too much water and I just step away and come back and let some things settle down, so that like this area right here was real soupy and this area was real soupy, and I just wanted to avoid the I mean, I don't mind it when they touch a little bit here and there, but you just kind of reach a point where you're like, okay, gotta walk away and come back. And it's fine. It's good to get up and take breaks and all of that, but it just wasn't gonna do me any good to continue to try to do these triangles when I had so much water. And it's my fault, of course, because I mean, or my inability to hold back on the water. I tend to be too heavy-handed with my water. So it was just better to give it a few minutes and come back. And depending on your paper, sometimes you just need a few minutes, and sometimes it needs a little, you know, half an hour. Sometimes it just needs 10 minutes. Trying to get all this green over here and away from the rest of it. Might be time to clean that part of the palette. You notice I'm starting to bend the color now a bit towards the blue, a bit towards the turquoise. What I'm finding as I'm doing this pattern is just to, as you can see from my movements, is just to outline or draw the triangle with the tip, and then carefully, which I didn't do so great there, fill it in. Pull this plate in. I don't have much turquoise left on this palette here at all. I think I had cobalt turquoise on here, but it's really really thin. the amount of pigment that's left. My goal is to get rid of this plastic palette, by getting rid of it, meaning I use it with the intention of using up the pigments that are on it. And you know, I'm not going to use every last scrap of the pigment, but I want to try to use as much of them as possible. I mean, because pigments are expensive, especially if you buy the really nice ones. And I tend to buy, as I mentioned, the Daniel Smith ones. And I always buy the 15 milliliter tubes. Seems like those work the best for me. Just there's a bit of value, I think, in them. See, you got a little too much water there. I tend to be heavy-handed with water. I'm not actually dipping in the water, but these plates, these palettes, I spray. And because they're plates, they have the tendency to run towards the middle with the water. And then I end up grabbing a little too much water by accident. And before you know it, I've got a big old puddle happening. When I'm done with this, I will probably come back with my eraser and just run it over the page, generally speaking. Obviously trying to hit the pencil lines and just get those erased. I'm really trying to make this turquoise be a bit more turquoisey, and that's more cerulean, but that's okay. It's because I grabbed cerulean off this plate, but it's all right. It's green blue. It still works, right? Right. Trying to strike a balance between cleaning up my pans and getting the color I need, because I want the colors to be different. I don't want them all to be the same. I'm thinking about double loading, so I'm like pulling in some green here and then hitting this turquoise kind of hard and seeing what we get. I like it when they granulate out and you get a fun color combo, or it changes color, it shifts colors as you're painting, because the one pigment runs out and the next one's there. Doesn't always happen. It doesn't often happen, actually. I'm sure there's a trick to it that I haven't learned, but that's part of this great experiment of making watercolor patterns, I suppose. Also, too, when I get down to being close to having I keep this book nearby that I just wipe off color, and then I use like paper punches to punch out circles or hearts or diamonds or whatever, and I use that in some of my mixed media pieces. So I don't expect to use all this up when I'm making these patterns. I just try to, if I can. All right, let's focus on the diamond shape, a triangle shape again, because that kind of, I left the corner off there. Didn't use a mother on any of this. I didn't, or a neutral tint or anything. I have done that in previous patterns. I just wanted to use straight pigments. I may do it when I do this piece. I may do this side of the book. I may do it with a bit of mother or neutral tint. Not sure yet. I'm thinking about doing a instead of a angular, I'm thinking about doing circles on this one with the compass. I like that. That's Prussian. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a green in a couple of places on here. I did it up here where I added like a yellow here, and then I added a, an orange up here. I call it feathering in a color, where you don't just stop it cold. You include it a little bit further down into the piece, into another color. Excuse me. I think I just kind of invented that term myself, but when they replace when they're restoring old houses, hardwood floors, they feather in the new with the old. And I'm kind of doing the same thing with feathering in the old color with the new color. And that's not the color I want. Come on. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Okay, I guess I just let it dry. It's driving me crazy, but I'm just going to let it dry. Let it ride. The bad part about old palettes is they sometimes have lots of dust in them. Now I'm going to start transitioning into blue. So I'm just picking up some ultramarine and some Prussian and some cerulean. And I'm not cleaning my brush in between. I'm just using the pigments that are in there, plus whatever's kind of conglomerated, congealed on the plate. That's not the right word, congealed, but run together. As you can see from this plate, it's all kind of run together in the middle, and I'm just picking up, you know, whatever part of the middle part that I go, ooh, I like that color. Of course, it's turquoise, so I like them all. But what I'm trying to do now is grab more of the blue. And I'll introduce indigo here in a minute. But I try to do that as I go down the line and not do it and then again, why not? We could put an indigo in here and then lighten it up a bit. Grab a little French ultramarine, or ultramarine. Grab some green here to just kind of feather back in that green again, that greeny turquoisey. Fun. Okay, I gotta move a little bit because I'm gonna be on camera here if I don't. Actually, I can do that. Okay, let's see. What do I want next? I think this is mostly just a blue row. Ooh, it's an indigo. Welcome back. I threw a little turquoise in it. A little phthalo turquoise, I think. When you mix the colors too, it makes the palette kind of work, or makes the piece work, because it's all of them are kind of mixed into each other. It's not just the mass tone only. Because I'm not cleaning out my brush. There's remnant pigments from the previous triangle. And then when you feather in a turquoise here and there, like I'm doing now, yep, and that's gonna accidentally, we're gonna pretend it was on purpose, touch that blue one. And get these lovely blends. But that indigo dominates anything I touch it with. And doing these exercises, you discover that, you know, these little pattern. You just see that I had a little bit of indigo left. I picked up a fair amount of this Prussian. The indigo still wants to control the conversation. We know people like that, don't we? We do. All right, let's try that again with a bit more Prussian. Wow, it is still dominating that Prussian. I mean, you can see the Prussian in that better, but holy cow. All right, here's lunar blue, fairly certain. And that's an interesting color to mix in. I typically like lunar blue. I think that's lunar blue. Then I'm going to pop it up here because I don't want it to be so I want it to be a bit further away from its cousin. All right, how about some ultramarine? with lunar. Nice. What about some cerulean with lunar and ultramarine? Again, nice. Now what about a little Prussian added to the combo? Yeah, you see the Prussian there, don't you? You sure do. About a little bit more Prussian. You could lean and bend that way a bit more. Definitely. All right, now let's go to the mutt mix in the middle. Just pick up some water and some pigment. Let's bend it back to turquoise. Let's pick up some of this phthalo turquoise and go here. Just grab a little water. Yeah. Now at some point, I'm going to leave this square empty because I'm going to put violet in there. Actually, let's go grab some violet now. Why wait? Grabbing a little moon glow. I'm not sure how well this is. Ooh, hello. I had a fair amount of blue in that brush. These are definitely blue violets. Got some grapes down here. Schmutz. wet this one down here. And that one. I picked up a little blue in that one, and that's way too wet, but okay. And I picked up a little magenta in this one. Start kind of bending it towards that color. Again, way too much water. There we go. There's some nice lilac / lavender. I like a variety of hues and shades when I'm doing this. Just so you feel like you get a mid-tone, a wash, and a mass tone. Or at least a hint of it. Oh, that feels like the same dang color. Let's grab some grape. Grape ape. And I sometimes jump around if I feel like I'm putting pigments, similar tones next to each other. I'll just go jump around. Now I'm gonna grab a little blue to kind of bend it back blue a little bit. Yep, we like that. Especially when I'm grabbing from the mutt middle, you know, you know those colors have already been in this piece. Ooh, Prussian bent that way back. Look at that. Prussian's serious. Does not play. Okay. Well, we did not really put a dent in the palettes, meaning they're almost as full as when we started. They don't look much different, but this plastic palette will get dealt with eventually. These other porcelain ones, those are fine. But anyway, this was triangles with a ruler and a little pencil. And I should not be erasing while it's still wet, but here I am doing it anyway. I'll be quiet. I'll let it go. Oh, I didn't run it together like I did up there. I don't care. I can just use a white pen and separate it and make it all look right. And thanks for stopping by again, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.